Today we want to talk about autopilot a little bit. I keep getting this question. How many of you boot up Street Fighter 6 or any other video game, and as you're playing, you just find yourself autopiloting, and your autopilot is getting its absolute ass beat, and you're like doing the same thing over and over and over and over. What you naturally do without thinking, right? So if you just went into a game of Street Fighter right now, or any fighting game, or any game to be honest, or like life, consciously don't make any decisions about every interaction, you just do stuff. Are you just like doing drive rushing a button? Are you throwing some fireballs? Are you jumping? Are you doing stuff? You know, you naturally do things without really thinking about it. You have like sort of an ingrained game plan and mix up. Every time you get your first knockdown, do you always go for the same mix up or the same sequence? Do you always do button throw? You probably have stuff like that that you just consistently do over and over. Autopilots are good to have. Everybody has an autopilot, and having a strong autopilot is very important. It helps you improve, and it helps you survive scenarios where your brain is not computing as much because you're worried about something else. So your autopilot can save the day and save you. When you're playing the video game, you should not always be thinking about every single thing. Your autopilot should be handling a lot of stuff that's happening, but your brain should be focusing on specific interactions and looking for specific things. My opponent's jumping a lot, so I should look for more anti-airs. Or my opponent's taking a lot of throws on defense, so I should try to bait their throws out with neutral jump or walking back or whatever, right? So your brain can make decisions like that. But your autopilot is like your base. This is just what happens when you're not thinking about anything. Improving your autopilot comes from time and repetition and making the right choices more often. So whatever your bad habits are, whatever kind of like flowcharty things you're doing that are like not that good, but sometimes scam wins against people, removing those from your play consciously, thinking to yourself, I always do this mix up, or I always jump after I tech a throw, or every time I whiff grab, I mash DI, or something like that, right? Removing those aspects from your game. A great example is when I was teaching box, he knocks someone down, he tries to throw them. Every time his throw would miss, they would like jump. He would just DI them every time, right? And that was working. He got to plat, and immediately he would just like whiff throw and then DI every single time, and like nobody fell for it anymore. And he had to like train himself consciously. Okay, when I whiff throw, if they're jumping, don't mash DI, just like uppercut them, right? You had to like change his autopilot. Recognizing habits like that and changing it, very important. You gotta play the game with intent. Every time you play the game and you make bad decisions or you're flowcharting, doing bad things, improve it by just focusing and being like, okay, this is something I need to fix. I need to fix this. I need to fix this. I need to fix this. Important advice, you know, as a wrestler, this is something that like you do in sports, right? And it's the same thing with fighting games, is you don't practice so that you don't get tired. It's impossible to not get tired. Your brain or your body gets beat up and you're not playing as well as you used to an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours ago, right? It's just natural. The point of practicing until you're tired and then still practicing is so that even when you're playing at your most autopilot-y or using the least amount of brain power, and it's your worst play, right? Because you don't have any mental capacity to fix anything. You're just going strictly on autopilot. You want that to be really strong. Constantly focusing on improving your autopilot and making it so that your decision making is more sound and solid overall, right? It's more well-rounded. We'll make it so that once you're really tired or tuckered out, or you're just playing all on autopilot and you're not using your brain anymore, your autopilot is more like polished. Most of the time I'm playing on stream, it's like 95% autopilot, because as you guys know, I'm like talking to you guys, explaining everything I'm doing. I'm like almost never playing as good as I can if I just focused. It's not my job to do that. I'm not playing in a tournament or anything. My foundation of autopilot is strong because I think about it a lot and because I try to focus on making my autopilot solid. So even when I'm not paying that much attention, I can still play well and get things done. I will explain. Head empty, just go off, just start fucking punching and kicking the air. What are you looking for? What are you trying to stop when you're in neutral? When I'm in neutral, I'm overwhelmed. I'm trying to hit confirm, look up there, anti-air, brush them down, check their dashes, stop their drive rush, stop their drive impacts. How do you possibly have the mental stack to deal with all the things in fighting games? When I'm in this range here, this range where it's like right at the tip of my normals, they're hitting their stuff and I'm hitting my stuff. At this range, we can engage each other. Once you hit about that range, this range here, there's a couple of things to look for in fighting games, right? The first one is your opponent pokes, right? If your opponent pokes, you want to stand in a range where after they poke, you can whiff punish them, right? If Ken's walking forward, I want to walk backwards to reset the space. And if he's walking backwards, then I want to walk forward to like walk him down and hold the same range so that I'm in the range where his normals miss But if I take a step and then hit a button, then they'll connect. Or if he's gonna jump, it's not over my head. He's walking forward, you know, you walk backwards. If he's walking backwards, you walk forward. You just kind of keep the same range, this exact range. You don't want to get too close where anti-airing is hard because he can cross you up, right? So generally when you want to anti-air, you want to anti-air from like back here. The exact same range where his heavy kick misses is the same range where you want to stand to anti-air. See this? This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to find that spot on the screen. So that if they jump, I can anti-air. If they whiff, I can whiff punish. And if I want to, I can walk in and initiate through their button. So like what I mean by that is instead of like trying to stand back here and let this whiff, I can just walk up and press before it hits me. This is the other idea. Get in that range first, like beat Ken to the punch and poke him before he hits you. That's it. I'm looking to stand in that spot. If my opponent's doing a lot, then I play passively. If my opponent's not doing much, I just walk forward and walk them down. This is like the most basic idea. Now, when I'm cornered, I'm looking to drive impact my opponent's drive impact. That's it. Basically all I'm looking for. I just crouch. If they do a string and it's like negative, I hit jab. All I'm looking for the whole time is like drive impact, right? Like I'm waiting for him to do this so I can do this. This is literally my objective in life. In the middle of the screen, I don't think about DI at all. If I happen to do a poke that's like cancelable, you know, if I do this, then sure, I'll DI back on reaction because this is like really easy, right? As long as you have active frames. But if I do like this, you know, or something that's like, I do something early and I'm like just blocking, I'll just block. Blocking a DI in the middle of the screen is great for you, by the way, because look at their resources, right? It costs them 1 bar. I lose half a bar for blocking, and then it's -3. Just like, doesn't really matter. These plus frames, right? But you're chilling. It's the best way to practice ranges. So how do I know where to stand against Ken? Well, like what's Ken's furthest range button that he hits most of the time, right? This button. So if you stand slightly outside of the range of that, then you know you're out of range of his farthest reaching button, right? And for every character, it's different. So like the range where he whiffs his heavy kick, her heavy kick hits. You see this? See how far away hers is? So Ken needs to stand even further back. Or alternatively, he can just like walk up and initiate, you know? And like try to get in the space of her and stuff her normal before it comes out. This is basically like the main idea in neutral. Is either you go get them and stuff their stuff before it comes out, or you let them whiff and then you kill them for whiffing. If they're trying to DI your pokes, like so if they're just walking back and forth and you're like, oh, he's far, and then this kind of stuff's happening to you, you should poke with smaller pokes, right? So just start poking with moves like this so that you are not as susceptible to drive impact. It makes you harder to jump on too. I crouching medium with the same timing. You see how I can still anti-air? That's what I do in 99% of my climb with most characters. This is why climbing with this character is easier than Guile to me. Guile's combos are harder, they're easier to drop, and I try to do his harder combos instead of doing the easy combos. And he can't just initiate like this. Even though he's like way better and a stronger character, to climb with this character, I just walk up and do this. And like whiff punish with this. And like it's way easier to climb. Not that Manon's a better character, but like you can just enforce a really simple game plan and play like the system of the game, and it's like very strong. How to train whiff punishing? Just practice your opponent doing this kind of stuff. When you whiff punish, just block and then hit the whiff punish button. And if you are in range of the move, then you won't get the button, right? So you just time it such that, see how I hit medium punch there? I'm trying to whiff punish him, but if I just happen to be in range, then it doesn't come out. You see that? Yeah, I did it again. And then like the minute he whiffs, you know, and it actually doesn't connect, then I'm good. Yeah, the game does have it, right? The game has a whip punish practice. So this is like teaching you to whip punish, reuse, sweep. People don't randomly sweep though. Oh, you must have never played Street Fighter before. Welcome. Did you come here from Boxbox's stream or Supers, or what creator stream did you come from? Who doesn't play Street Fighter?
Listen.
Did DS2 get canceled? Are you not playing DS2 anymore? Game does suck. DS2 is greater than DS3? That's wild. Unless you mean Demon Souls 2, which means Dark Souls 1 is greater than DS3, which is Dark Souls 2, in which case beast. You call Dark Souls 1 Demon Souls 2? I feel you. That makes sense. Then suddenly the math is adding up.